Most Ignace residents are excited to host the nation's nuclear waste. Good evening and thank you for joining us. It's now been just over a week since the NWMO chose the Ignace and Wabigoon Lake site for its planned nuclear waste repository. Many Ignace residents are still celebrating the NWMO's decision to bring the $26 million project to that area, but not everyone is happy with the outcome. Justin Hardy made his way to Ignace yesterday and joins us live in studio. Justin, how are people feeling?
Vasilios, opinions seem to be staying pretty much in line with the willingness survey results. A majority of people we spoke to say they remain in favor of bringing a nuclear waste facility to the area. Those who disagree will still have the chance to have their voices heard as the regulatory process continues for the next 10 years or more. Ignace has been chosen as the planned site for the Deep Geologic Repository for Canada's nuclear waste. Ignace was the first municipality considered for the potential site to declare itself willing to host a DGR, with roughly 77% of participants voting in favor during a survey this year. In speaking with a few residents roughly a week after the decision was made, there still appears to be a majority in support of the project, but not everyone is on board.
I'm very pleased. I served 9 years on Ignace Council, so I was involved with quite a bit of it, keeping it going.
Well, I think it's probably going to be a plus for the community and the region as a whole. With the amount of money that's going to be flowing into this area, I think it's going to be good for a lot of people, even though they may not realize it right now.
I don't like it, and it's not safe. Do you see all those trucks that go into ditches? What's going to transport that stuff? Poison.
The next phase of the process will see the project go through a roughly 10-year-long federal regulatory approval process, which will also allow for many to raise their concerns and have their questions answered. There is a few years until that process begins, allowing a breather after over a decade of work getting to this point, according to Ignace councillor Jody DeFeo.
It was a 14-year conversation where the end result was what the majority of the community wanted to hear. So definitely some elation and some relief and anticipation and excitement.
So we've always had a really close relationship and constant back and forth. We've been planning for this event, whether it be a yes or no for the site. We are having regular conversations. In fact, I had a meeting this morning, but we have stepped up a lot of that planning to go forward, and so has council.
The NWMO estimates that construction could begin on the DGR as soon as 2033, with operations hoped to start by 2045. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
The Waverley Park restoration project is moving ahead. City Council approved the next steps this week, but the work won't begin until 2026. It includes modernizing the historic Hogarth Fountain, which was originally built in 1790. Consultants will look at new mechanical and electrical systems and the addition of seating and lighting around the fountain. The other part of the project includes making the cenotaph area more accessible and connecting it to Red River Road. The total price tag is $2.4 million. Coalition for Waverley Park Chair David Noonan says restoring the park honors its history while recognizing its current impact.
The park is not only a major tourist attraction with its 5 churches, period homes, and Lakehead University Law School, all built in the late 1800s and early 1900s, but is a vibrant modern-day park with summer theater and weekly summer music concerts. Weddings are held in the park and organizations hold festivals to promote their services.
The coalition has submitted an application to the province to cover $1.2 million of the total project cost. Numerous weapons and drug charges have been laid following the execution of a search warrant at a residence in Manitou on Wednesday. A 35-year-old man and a 31-year-old woman from that community were arrested and charged by OPP. Police confiscated multiple prohibited weapons, including firearms and replica firearms, as well as suspected crystal meth. The woman was released from custody with a future court date, while the man was held in custody and appeared in bail court on Thursday. Premier Doug Ford says enough is enough and is promising to introduce new legislation to help municipalities respond to growing homeless encampments across the province. Ford is threatening to use the notwithstanding clause if necessary to get it passed. CTV's Siobhan Morris explains.
With legislation coming next week to help municipalities address homelessness and encampments, mayors are feeling encouraged.
Nobody should have to live on the street in any community in any park anywhere. And the best way to do that is to provide the supports that people need through mental health treatment, through recovery and addictions treatment, and of course, supportive housing.
The government has promised money for shelters, but with so many of those living on the streets struggling with mental health and addiction,
we need to make sure that the wraparound operating dollars are also attached to some of the housing and units that could be available for people.
we expect the bill to include new powers for police to crack down on public drug use and people who repeatedly return to set up tents outside.
Using force is not something myself as the mayor or any mayor really wants anything to ever come to. We want people to be housed. We want them to be in shelter.
So Mayor Guthrie hopes the bill strikes the right balance.
Trying to maintain some public order and at the same time having compassion, empathy.
The Premier had challenged mayors to ask him to use the notwithstanding clause to clear encampments. Only a fraction of municipal leaders across the province did. Doug Ford says he'll reach for the charter override if he needs to, but doesn't think it's necessary right now.
Some sort of workaround around our case. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. And it may still not be charter compliant legislation.
That case is out of Kitchener last year, a precedent-setting decision that determined a municipality can't clear an encampment unless there's somewhere indoors for people to go. The worry with any workaround or override of the charter.
All you'll see is these tent cities being maybe removed from one part of the community and popping up in another part of the community.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
A powerful new exhibit opened this week at the Thunder Bay Art Gallery. It's called Breaking Through the Shadows, Voices of Change in the Community, and it offers personal insights into substance use and the impacts in Thunder Bay. Riley Cohen reports.
The Breaking Through the Shadows exhibit offers a multidisciplinary art experience that brings together powerful community projects and creative expressions to celebrate resilience, challenge stigma, and build hope. Community artist and founder of Creaction Collective, Celine Moudinger, got the opportunity to work with those in the community affected by substance use and facilitated their help in part of the gallery.
So my part was to actually create and help facilitate community collaborative work, and we did an accordion based on the story of people that came to the Overdose Awareness Day.
This exhibit is a way for the gallery to serve the community by working with local organizations like the Drug Awareness Committee to create a display that resonates with the public and brings awareness to the cause. Stephanie Diebolt from the local Drug Awareness Committee played a major role in making the exhibit a reality. She's hoping it will encourage the community to think differently about the drug crisis in Thunder Bay and maybe spark some action.
It might inspire some community advocacy, people, supporting the harm reduction services that we have in Thunder Bay, maybe donating to your favorite local charity that's supporting people, PACE, DEC Foundation are to name a few. Of course, this time of year, it's often a time for reflection, so just remembering maybe somebody that you've lost and pulling together during this difficult time.
The exhibit features many projects, each of which is dedicated to breaking down barriers and fostering understanding around substance use health, using a variety of artistic expressions such as storytelling, upcycling, poetry, and visual art.
The community that gathered, I think the ways in which that it is deeply impactful, both in terms of the projects and exhibitions and seeing the implications for family and fighting some of the stigma associated with this issue. It's profoundly important, and I think this exhibition exemplifies ways in which people can access these issues, understand these issues, and support.
The special exhibit will remain on display until January 5th at the Thunder Bay Art Gallery. Riley Cohen, TBT News.
Reed's Furniture's launched a Christmas tree competition for a bunch of good causes. 8 local charities were invited to the store to decorate a tree as part of a fundraising competition, and each tree is also up for auction. The charities taking part are the DEC Foundation, Chartwell Foundation, the Shelter House, Pro Kids, Delico Christmas Wish, the Arthritis Society, Teamworks Co-op, and the Humane Society. The trees all have collection bins around them. Each food item is donated to the RFDA and represents a vote for that tree. The charity will be giving the winning tree $5,000, and all 8 charities will also get the proceeds from the winning auction price of their tree.
The response was overwhelming. We're shocked by how quickly people jumped in, and the level of effort they've put in. The decoration of the tree. We had a little get together on the 2nd here of December, where we had all the charities were in, and there was an absolute army of people. The Christmas spirit was definitely in the air, and it was a lot of fun watching them, come up with these beautiful works of art.
The event runs until December 14th, when all the votes will be tallied and the winner determined. Meanwhile, Reed is also welcoming Thunder Bay firefighters to their Ashley Home store tomorrow. They'll be collecting donations for the Toys for Tots campaign. The Lakehead Thunderwolves hosted their 2nd annual School Day Skills Competition yesterday, and they invited kids from close to a dozen local elementary schools. The youngsters all seem to be having a great time at Fort William Gardens, watching their hockey heroes show off their skills. Jaden Billick has this story.
The atmosphere was electric at the Gardens, where the stands were full of over 100 enthusiastic fans from local elementary schools. The skills competition kicked off with a skating face-off, which the white team set the starting tone of the afternoon with a 10-2 lead. Meanwhile, the kids were torn over which team they wanted to win. What specific team were you cheering for, if you have any?
I was cheering for the white team. The blue team. Yeah, blue. The white team.
The competition heated up with a nail-biting puck handling challenge, which led to this dramatic tiebreaker. Defenseman Alex Isaac, wearing number 22, delivered a clutch performance for the blue team, sallying hard after securing the victory. The action continued with an intense passing, shooting, and goalie scoring frenzy, where Team White emerged victorious once again. The young fans shared their thoughts on some of the standout players. Do you have any favorite players on the Thunderwolves?
Probably Cook.
Nice, Jack Cook?
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite players at all?
No. No, I like everybody on it. I think they're all really good.
The goaltenders took center stage during a thrilling shootout showdown, showing off their skills between the pipes with several standout saves in an intense battle of wits. The competition intensified once more as the teams moved to a high-stake 4-on-4 battle. In the end, Team White was officially crowned the 2024 Skills Competition champions. Despite the fierce rivalry throughout the stands, this final moment stood out as the defining headline of the day.
I just remember when I was their age, feeling so excited to go to the Wolves game and to have the opportunity to go and watch the Wolves compete on the ice, doing the All-Star. It's a really surreal moment, and just hearing them cheer nice and loud, it's just a surreal moment. It brought shivers and smiles to my face, and I know myself, along with all my other teammates, just thought the world of it. And we're very lucky to have a fan base like this and to play in front of all this great people.
Well, it's safe to say that this year's skills competition was yet another success. Every student I've spoken with say they've never cheered as loud as they did on this day. Jaden Billick, TBT News.
Now, Fiona, I'm obviously a huge hockey fan, but unfortunately with that comes winter weather, and that's something I kind of have to accept.
Yeah, you don't seem quite as enthusiastic about the
snow
not
as much, to be honest, no.
You do about the sports in the snow. Today, it wasn't too bad. I noticed, because we had the snow last night, I noticed some people were out there trying to clear their walkways, but I also noticed most of them were using brooms instead of shovels because it was so light. It was fluffy. It was an easy cleanup, and that is what I call my kind of snowfall. And that snow did continue off and on throughout the day. We had a low of -10, wind chills hovering around -14, warming up to -6 and a wind chill of -10. Winds were from the northwest. We'll call them light to moderate, 10 to 20 kilometers per hour, but again, a little bit chilly. Now, as we take a look at the radar for the last 12 hours, that's where we started the day. Throughout the day, it shifted through mostly Lake Superior, and at this hour, you can see it's still being felt along the eastern shores in Sault Ste. Marie. Temperatures have been very steady with this system, not really moving much. Sault Ste. Marie has been sitting between -4 and -5 since about 2 a.m. last night. Wind chills around -9 with that snow and drifting snow. It gets quite a bit cooler though as you head to the North Shores and up into Greenstone and Armstrong, where it's sitting at -12. But again, it's been sitting at -11, -12 for the last about 14, 15 hours. Wind chills are only making it feel a few degrees cooler than that. Up into Red Lake, they had periods of snow and periods of mostly cloudy skies. Right now, they're just getting a break from the snow. -11, and it feels like -16. Fort Frances, a little warmer. They saw a little bit of fluctuation, but not very much at all. And again, -7 feels like -10. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we are currently seeing a bit of a break from the snow, but there is more to come. We'll start out with a couple of centimeters starting sometime after midnight, but winds will be relatively light, 5 to 10 kilometers per hour, as we drop down to a low of -13 and wind chills of -16. But as I said, that is just the beginning of the snow.
Yeah.
I've been telling you for the last few days that it's slow and steady, no big snow bombs hitting our region, but there is definitely snow on the way for tomorrow. However, you might like this. Temperatures are going to rise above the freezing mark.
Don't often see that very much
No.
this time of year. So are you saying I can still use the broom tomorrow?
Probably not, and
Okay.
you'll see why when we get back to it later on the newscast.
All right, thanks so much, Fiona. We now turn to today being a difficult but important anniversary to remember in our nation. It's the 35th anniversary of the École Polytechnique massacre. We're going to have more on that after the break.
So I visited various floors with the detective, and we took all the different pictures